Hello everyone, I'm Michaela Kathleen, and I thought it was about time we do another quotes video. And so for this one, I was thinking we would do my favorite John Green quotes, as John Green is my favorite author. So I've got here 10 of my favorite John Green quotes, and not all of them are from his books. Some are from his YouTube channel Vlogbrothers, and I think there might be one that might be from an interview or something, not quite sure. But yeah, mostly from his books. And these are in no particular order. So the first quote I have is, "Without pain, how could we know joy?" This is an old argument in the field of thinking about suffering, and its stupidity and lack of sophistication could be plumbed for centuries. But suffice it to say that the existence of broccoli does not in any way affect the taste of chocolate. And this is a quote from The Fault in Our Stars. And I think this kind of shows off how clever Hazel Grace is. And yeah, I just really enjoy this quote, and I think it kind of plays with quotes in general and how we use them kind of without thinking about them deeply. So almost a bit of an anti-quote quote in a way. The next one I have is rather a long one from The Fault in Our Stars. This isn't one of the most popular Fault in Our Stars ones, although it did make it into the movie, but this is the one that I think makes me cry the most. When you go into the ER, one of the first things they ask you to do is rate your pain on a scale of 1 to 10. And from there, they decide which drugs to use and how quickly to use them. I'd been asked this question hundreds of times over the years, and I remember once, early on, when I couldn't get my breath and it felt like my chest was on fire, flames licking the inside of my ribs, fighting for a way to burn out of my body. My parents took me to the ER. A nurse asked me about the pain, and I couldn't even speak, so I held up 9 fingers. Later, after they'd given me something, the nurse came in and she was kind of stroking my hand while she took my blood pressure. And she said, "You know how I know you're a fighter? You called a 10 a 9. But that wasn't quite right. I called it a 9 because I was saving my 10, and here it was." Next, I have 2 of the more popular but much shorter ones from The Fault in Our Stars. "My thoughts are stars I can't fathom into constellations." I just think that one is so pretty. And then the other one is, "I fell in love the way you fall asleep, slowly and then all at once." And then I have a quote that kind of reveals the meaning behind the title of The Fault in Our Stars, which I think is really cool and fun to have like a succinct section from a book that kind of explains the title. So it goes, "It is the nature of stars to cross, and never was Shakespeare more wrong than when he had Cassius note, 'The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves.' Easy enough to say when you're a Roman nobleman, or Shakespeare, but there is no shortage of fault to be found amid our stars." And then my final Fault in Our Stars quote, I promise, it is my favorite John Green book, is actually an author's note before the beginning of the book. So the author's note is, "This is not so much an author's note as an author's reminder of what was printed in small type a few pages ago. This book is a work of fiction. I made it up. Neither novels nor their readers benefit from attempts to divine whether any facts hide inside a story. Such efforts attack the very idea that made-up stories can matter, which is sort of the foundational assumption of our species. I appreciate your consideration in this matter." I really like that quote a lot because it speaks to the importance of stories, and I love stories. Okay, moving on to a different John Green book. This is from An Abundance of Catherines, which I think does not get enough love. I think it's the most underappreciated John Green book. It is so funny and such a fun book to read. So the quote is, "Books are the ultimate dumb peas. Put them down and they'll wait for you forever. Pay attention to them and they'll always love you back." My next John Green quote is, "Imagining the future is a kind of nostalgia. You spend your whole life stuck in the labyrinth, thinking about how you'll escape it one day, and how awesome it will be, and imagining that future keeps you going. But you never do it. You just use the future to escape the present. And the beginning of this quote, imagining the future as a kind of nostalgia, is actually something that his wife said to him, I believe on their first date, is how the story goes. And my final two John Green quotes are not from his books. I believe this one is from one of his YouTube videos over on Vlogbrothers. I'll link their channel down below. So this one goes, nerds like us are allowed to be unironically enthusiastic about stuff. Nerds are allowed to love stuff. Like, jump up and down in your chair, can't control yourself, love it. When people call people nerds, mostly what they're saying is, you like stuff, which is not a good insult at all. Like, you are too enthusiastic about the miracle of human consciousness. And I like this quote. It's a good little thing you can pull out if anyone ever calls you a nerd. And the final quote I have is a bit of writing advice, which is always nice. So it goes. When you're writing a book, I think the goal is to use language to create an experience inside of someone else's mind, right? And I think there will always be failures in that. Partly because of your own insufficiencies. You're always going to run up against the limits of your talent, but also partly because of the insufficiencies of language itself. I think it's the same as building something in the physical world. Like, both the wood and the carpenter will always have their imperfections. So inevitably, all buildings will fall short of the way they're initially imagined. But even so, they can provide us shelter. And I like this quote again because it is another sort of celebration of stories and how they can figuratively be a place that we can go to feel safe. So yeah, those were 10 of my favorite John Green quotes. Let me know down below if you have any favorite John Green quotes. Thanks for watching. Remember, words matter.